The envelope had a red wax seal. My grandmother pressed it into my hands at my own birthday party, except it wasn't my party. It was my brother Evan's MBA graduation celebration. Same day, same house, but nobody mentioned I just turned 25. Grandma leaned close and whispered, "Don't open this at home." I sat in my rental car for an hour. When I finally cracked that seal, everything I'd believed about my family for 25 years shattered in seconds. Let me back up. My whole life, my parents told me I was adopted in spirit. Not legally adopted. Not foster care. Just spiritually adopted. Their way of saying I wasn't really theirs. I was 8 the first time Dad said it out loud. My birthday had been that Saturday, but we didn't celebrate because Evan had a soccer tournament. Dad said his game was a team commitment. My birthday was just a day. At dinner, I asked, "Why does Evan get the bigger bedroom?" Dad didn't even look up from his steak. "Because Evan is different, Mallory. You're not like us. You're adopted in spirit. We chose to keep you, but that doesn't mean you're entitled to the same things as your brother." I was 8 years old. I didn't understand what adopted in spirit meant. I just knew it made my chest hurt. Mom patted my hand. "Your father loves you in his own way, sweetheart." I learned later that his own way meant silence. Chores. Being invisible. Evan's 16th birthday. Dad bought him a cherry red Jeep Wrangler. Party for 50 people with a DJ and a 3-tier cake. My 16th birthday. Sheet cake from Costco with my name misspelled, Mallory, because Mom was in a rush. Dad forgot about a work dinner. I blew out the candles alone while Mom scrolled through her phone. When Evan left for college, both parents flew out to help him move. U-Haul, 3 days off work, tears at the airport. When I left for college, on scholarship because they refused to pay, Mom handed me a bus ticket. "You can manage, right? Evan needs the car this weekend." I managed. Evan's graduation, a Rolex. "For my son," Dad said. "The man of the next generation." My graduation, a $50 Amazon gift card. But there was one person who never forgot me. Grandma Rosemary. Every year on my actual birthday, a card would arrive. Always lavender paper. Always the same message, "Remember who you are, my darling." The truth always surfaces. When tuition bills came, Dad shook his head. "Real family comes first, Mallory. We have to prioritize Evan's education." So I worked 2 jobs through college, waitressing and tutoring while carrying a full course load. I graduated with $47,000 in student loans. Evan graduated debt-free with a car, an apartment deposit, and a trip to Europe. When there were chores, guess who did them? "You need to earn your place," Mom would say, handing me a mop while Evan played video games. I moved out at 22. Found a studio in Hartford for $1,100 a month. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. One day, our old neighbor mentioned, "Your grandmother was so generous to buy that house for your parents." I asked Mom about it later. She waved her hand dismissively. "That's ancient history, Mallory." But something about her tone didn't sit right. Fast forward to last month. I was 25, working as a staff accountant. I was at my desk when my phone buzzed. Text from Mom, "Family celebration this Saturday. Evan's MBA graduation. Don't be late." No mention of my birthday. Then my phone rang. "Grandma. Mallory, my darling. I need you to come home this Saturday. I have something important to give you. It's been 25 years in the making." "What do you mean?" "I set something aside for you the day you were born. When I saw the way your father looked at you, like you were a disappointment before you even opened your eyes, I knew I had to protect you. That night, I booked a flight. Saturday arrived fast. I pulled into the driveway at noon, my rental car looking modest next to Evan's BMW X5. A massive banner hung across the front porch, "Congratulations, Evan, MBA class of 2026. Inside was chaos. Caterers, florists, expensive perfume, and fresh flowers. Mom spotted me. "Oh good, you're here." She thrust a paper into my hands. Here's the list. Tables need to be set up. Bathrooms need cleaning. Where's Evan? In his room, resting before the party. Then I saw it on the hallway table, a lavender envelope with my name. Grandma's handwriting. It had been opened and tossed aside like junk mail. They hadn't even bothered to give it to me. By 4 o'clock, the backyard was transformed. White tents, twinkling lights, champagne tower. Everyone. Dad clinked his glass. I want to make a toast to my son, Evan. My legacy. My pride. From the moment Evan was born, I knew he was destined for greatness. Applause. Cheers. Not a single word about me. My Aunt Nancy spoke up. Mallory, isn't today your birthday too? Dad laughed, short, dismissive. Oh, we don't really count that. She's different. Across the yard, Grandma Rosemary sat alone in a wicker chair, watching everything. When our eyes met, she gave me a small nod. Dad clinked his glass again. Now, I want to share some exciting news. When Rosemary eventually passes, we plan to sell this property and use the proceeds to fund Evan's first business venture. Evan nodded like this was already decided. Excuse me. What about me? Dad didn't even look at me. You're an adult, Mallory. You've always been self-sufficient. Besides, you're not technically family in the traditional sense. Then came the sound of a cane tapping against the patio stones. Grandma Rosemary stood directly in front of my father. David, she said his name like a verdict. I believe you've forgotten whose house you're standing in. The color drained from my father's face. She turned to me. Mallory, my darling. Come with me. We stopped near the rose bushes. Happy 25th birthday, my darling. She pulled out an envelope. Cream-colored, thick, sealed with red wax. Your future. She pressed it into my hands. But you cannot open it here. Go to your car, read it alone, and then decide what you want to do. Dad's voice cut through. Mother, what is this? This is between me and my granddaughter. You've had 25 years to discuss family matters with her, David. You chose not to. I walked to my car in a daze. I sat in the driver's seat for an hour, staring at the envelope. The sun had begun to set when I finally broke the seal. 3 documents slid out. A birth certificate. A thick legal document, irrevocable living trust, dated 1999, the year I was born. A handwritten letter on lavender paper. I started with the letter. My dearest Mallory, you are not adopted in spirit. You never were. Your father lied to justify his inability to love a daughter. I read that line 3 times. I grabbed the birth certificate. Mother, Laura Fletcher. Father, David Fletcher. Child, Mallory Fletcher. No adoption records. Nothing suggesting I was anything other than their biological daughter. I was theirs. I had always been theirs. The letter continued. I watched your father treat you like a second-class citizen from the day you were born. I couldn't change him, but I could protect you. This trust was my way of ensuring you'd have something of your own, no matter what they said or did. I turned to the trust document. Grantor, Rosemary Thornton. Sole beneficiary, Mallory Fletcher. Assets. 1. Real property, 47, Maple Grove Lane, Greenwich, Connecticut. Estimated value, $1.2 million. 2. Financial assets, savings account. Current balance, approximately $340,000. Condition, beneficiary assumes full control upon reaching age 25. The house. The house my parents had lived in for 30 years. The house my father had just promised to sell for Evan's business. It wasn't theirs. It had never been theirs. They were occupants. Nothing more. For the first time in my life, I had proof that I mattered. I pulled out my phone and dialed the number on the letterhead. Foster and Associates. I need to speak with Daniel Foster. My name is Mallory Fletcher. Mallory. Your grandmother told me you'd be calling. Mr. Foster, is this real? Is this trust enforceable? Completely. As of today, your birthday, you have full authority over all assets, including the property. My parents don't know, do they? They assumed it was a small inheritance. They have no idea about the house. What happens now? Your grandmother requested a formal reading next Saturday. I've already sent invitations to your parents and brother. The calls started Monday. Dad, we need you back this weekend. Your grandmother is getting her affairs in order. Translation, he wanted to make sure the house was ready to sell. Tuesday, Mom, your father is under stress about the estate. Maybe you could come help. Be a good daughter. Wednesday, Evan, hey sis, Dad says there's some paperwork we all need to sign. Thursday, Dad's email arrived with a form attached. By signing, I would confirm I had no legal claim to any assets of the Fletcher or Thornton estates. They were trying to erase me before I could fight back. I called Mr. Foster. Don't sign anything. It's a waiver, an attempt to get you to relinquish any claim before the trust is revealed. Friday night, Mom showed up at my apartment with flowers. Mallory, I know your father can be harsh, but he means well. Signing that form would make things easier for everyone. It would keep the peace. Keep the peace. As if the peace hadn't been kept on my back for 25 years. Mom, do you even know what Grandma put in her estate? It doesn't matter. What matters is we're a family. My phone buzzed. Text from Grandma, they will try to make you doubt. Don't. I've waited 25 years for this moment. So have you. I'm not signing anything, Mom. Her mask slipped. She collected her bag and left without another word. That night, I found a navy blue suit I'd bought 6 months ago for a job interview I'd been too scared to attend. Tags still on. I removed the tags and hung the suit on my door. Tomorrow, I wasn't walking in as the forgotten daughter. Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Foster and Associates occupied the top floor of a glass building in Hartford. Daniel Foster was silver-haired, sharp-eyed, calm. Ms. Fletcher, your grandmother speaks very highly of you. Is she here? Not feeling well enough, but she's authorized me to act on her behalf. He slid a folder across the desk. Before your family arrives, I want you to understand what's about to happen. Inside was the deed to the house. The original from 1994. Owner, Rosemary Thornton. No transfer deed. No documentation showing the property had ever changed hands. Your parents have lived there for 30 years, but they've never owned it. Your grandmother deliberately kept the title in her name. Outside, the elevator dinged. My father entered like he owned the place. Charcoal suit, silk tie, polished Oxfords. Mom followed in cream, pearls perfectly aligned. Evan brought up the rear, casual in khakis and a blazer. None of them acknowledged me. Daniel. Dad extended his hand. Good to see you. Let's get this formality over with. They arranged themselves. Dad at the head, naturally, with Mom and Evan flanking him. I sat across from them. So, what are we looking at? The house, the savings, standard distribution? Evan pulled out his phone. If we sell the house this quarter, I could have the down payment. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But Dad was smiling. Mr. Foster, I said quietly. I think we should begin. Daniel opened his folder and began to read. The estate of Rosemary Thornton consists of 1. A residential property at 47 Maple Grove Lane, Greenwich, Connecticut. Appraised at approximately $1.2 million. 2. A savings account at First National Bank. Current balance, $340,000. Dad nodded along, doing the math. However, Daniel continued, his tone made my father freeze. These assets are not distributed through this will. These assets were placed in an irrevocable living trust in 1999. Silence. What do you mean? Dad's smile faltered. Mother would have told me about a trust. Evan looked up. Wait, so who's the beneficiary? Daniel turned to me. Miss Fletcher, would you like to explain? All eyes shifted to me. I stood slowly, folder in hand. The sole beneficiary of Grandma Rosemary's irrevocable living trust is me. Mallory Fletcher. Established the day I was born. Dad shot to his feet. That's impossible. Daniel projected the trust document onto the screen. Sole beneficiary, Mallory Fletcher. Mom made a choking sound. Evan dropped his phone. This is a mistake. Mallory couldn't possibly, she's not even real family. I pulled out the birth certificate. Daniel projected it. Mother, Laura Fletcher. Father, David Fletcher. Child, Mallory Fletcher. For the record, Daniel said calmly, there is no adoption record for Mallory Fletcher. She is, and has always been, your biological daughter. Color drained from Dad's face. I'm not going to ask you why, I said quietly. I stopped needing your approval years ago. This is fraud. Dad slammed the table. I don't know what you've done, Mallory, but this isn't going to stand. It's not fraud, Dad. It's documentation. Notarized, witnessed, filed 25 years ago, before you started telling me I wasn't really yours. That house belongs to this family. It belongs to Grandma. And now it belongs to me. Evan stood so fast his chair fell. Dad, do something. On what grounds? Daniel's eyebrow rose. The trust is airtight. The fight drained out of Dad. Then he turned to me, voice changing. Mallory, sweetheart. I flinched. He'd never called me that. I know I wasn't the best father. But we're family. We can work this out. There it was. The word he'd spent my childhood telling me I wasn't part of. You spent 25 years telling me I wasn't really family. You don't get to use that word now. Mallory, please. Mom reached toward me. We can fix this. No, you can't. I took a breath. I'm not throwing you out today. You have 90 days to find a new place. That's more consideration than you ever gave me. Dad's jaw tightened. After everything we've done for you? Everything you've done for me? I almost laughed. You told me I was adopted in spirit to justify ignoring me. You made me pay for my own education while Evan got everything. You scheduled my birthday as his graduation party. What exactly have you done for me? No answer. Mom tried once more. Mallory, please. I'm your mother. I love you. Then why didn't you protect me? You stood there for 25 years while he treated me like a mistake. Your love didn't come with action, Mom. I'm done accepting words without proof. Evan made one last attempt. Come on, Mal. I was supposed to. You were supposed to get money from selling a house that was never yours. That's on them, Evan. Not me. I gathered my documents and turned to Daniel. Thank you, Mr. Foster. I believe we're finished. I walked out without looking back. 25 years of silence. 25 years of believing their lies. It ended today. A week later, Daniel called me back. Your grandmother asked me to give you this separately. Another lavender envelope. My dearest Mallory, if you're reading this, then the truth is finally out. I want you to understand something about David. It doesn't excuse what he did. Nothing excuses that. But it might help you make sense of it. Your father had a sister once. Her name was Claire. She died in a car accident when she was 19. Your grandfather's response was cold. He said, losing a son would have been a real tragedy. She was just a girl. I stopped reading. My throat felt tight. David grew up believing daughters were worth less than sons. When you were born, his firstborn, a girl, he didn't know how to love you. So he invented a story that made his failure make sense. I couldn't change your father, but I could make sure his damage had limits. This trust was never about revenge, Mallory. It was about ensuring his cruelty didn't define your future. You are loved, my darling. You always have been. Now go live the life you deserve. P.S. I'm not dead yet. Come visit me this Sunday. I'll make tea. Despite everything, I laughed. Evan texted me 3 weeks later. Hey sis, Can we meet? We met at a coffee shop near my apartment. Thanks for coming. Look, I wanted to say I'm sorry. I didn't know about the adopted in spirit thing being a lie. I mean, I knew Dad treated you differently, but I thought. He trailed off. You thought I deserved it? No, I didn't think about it. I guess it was easier not to. At least that sounded like truth. Anyway, I was thinking maybe we could work something out. Like you could keep the house obviously, but maybe a small loan for the business? I'll pay you back. And there it was. The apology that wasn't an apology. Evan. If you ever genuinely want to rebuild a relationship, not as a deal, not as a transaction, you know where to find me. But that starts with you acknowledging what happened. Really acknowledging it. Not asking for money. His face fell. Come on, Mal. We're still family, right? We're siblings who barely know each other because your father taught you I didn't matter. When you're ready to change that, really change it, call me. Until then, I think we're done here. I left him sitting there with his cold coffee. 90 days passed fast. On day 89, a moving truck pulled up to 47 Maple Grove Lane. They moved into a 2-bedroom apartment downtown. Rent, $1,800 a month. Evan's business plans collapsed without the capital. Last I heard, he'd taken a job as a sales associate at a car dealership. The BMW was repossessed 2 months later. As for me, I kept the house. I walked through the rooms where I'd once felt invisible and decided to make them mine. New paint, new furniture. The family portrait came down. In its place, I hung a photo of me and Grandma Rosemary, taken the Sunday after the reading. Both of us laughing over tea. I used part of the trust savings to pay off my student loans. Every cent of debt I'd accumulated while Evan got a free ride. The house became my home. A real home. And every morning when I walked through the front door, I passed the spot where that family portrait used to hang. The one where I was always at the edge, almost cropped out. Now there's a new picture. Just me standing in the center. Finally, where I belong. A year has passed since that day in Daniel Foster's office. I'm sitting in the living room now, my living room, watching the sunset. A lot has changed. I got promoted to senior accountant. I bought a small rental property downtown. My first real investment outside the trust. Grandma Rosemary is still with us, thank God. We have tea every Sunday now. My parents haven't called. I'm okay with that. Evan texts occasionally. Surface level stuff. I respond politely but don't engage much. The door isn't closed. It's just not wide open. The person I was a year ago, the one who cleaned bathrooms at her own birthday party, feels like a stranger now. Not because I've become someone different, but because I finally stopped apologizing for existing. I used to dream about the day my father would tell me he loved me. I don't dream about that anymore. Because I know now I was always enough. I just needed to believe it myself. This isn't a revenge story. I didn't destroy my family. I simply stopped accepting a role that was never meant for me, and I claimed what was rightfully mine. If you're listening to this and you've been the forgotten child, the one who got overlooked, undervalued, pushed to the margins, I want you to hear this. You don't owe loyalty to people who never gave you respect. You don't have to earn love that should have been given freely. And walking away isn't failure. Sometimes it's the bravest thing you can do. Boundaries aren't walls. They're doors that you control. You decide who gets in. The best revenge isn't making others suffer. It's building a life so full, so entirely your own that their absence becomes a footnote rather than a headline. You are not what they called you. You are not the role they assigned you. You are whoever you decide to be. I spent 25 years waiting for my father to see me. 25 years trying to prove I deserved a seat at his table. Now I have my own table. And there's plenty of room for people who actually want to be there. That's the only kind of family worth having. Before I go, let me tell you where everyone is now. Grandma Rosemary moved into assisted living near my house. I used part of the trust to ensure she has the best care. Last week, She beat me at Scrabble again. Dad took a part-time consulting job because rent wasn't sustainable on retirement savings alone. The man who used to talk about legacy now works weekends to make ends meet. Mom did something unexpected. 6 months after the move, she filed for divorce. She sent me a letter. "I'm sorry I didn't protect you. I should have been braver." I haven't responded yet, but I kept the letter. Evan is still figuring things out. He's been in therapy, his idea. He sent me a birthday card this year with my name spelled correctly and a message that felt genuine. "I'm trying to understand. I hope you'll give me the chance to prove I can do better." I haven't decided what to do with that yet. And me? I'm sitting in my house, drinking tea from my grandmother's favorite china set, telling you this story. A therapist once explained why my father behaved the way he did. She called it learned worthlessness, the belief passed down through generations that some people are inherently less valuable than others. My father couldn't love me because he never learned that daughters could be loved. The lie about adopted in spirit wasn't just cruelty. It was a shield, a way to protect himself from the guilt of failing someone he was supposed to care for. Does that excuse what he did? Absolutely not. But it helps me understand. Here's what I've learned. Hurt people hurt people. My father was wounded long before I was born. Instead of healing those wounds, he passed them on to me. But his pain doesn't obligate me to suffer. I can hold compassion for the child he once was and still maintain boundaries with the man he became. Those two things aren't mutually exclusive. If you're dealing with someone like my father, someone whose behavior seems inexplicable, whose cruelty feels personal, know this, it's not about you. It never was. Their inability to love you says everything about them and nothing about your worth. You are not responsible for healing wounds you didn't create. But you are responsible for protecting yourself from people who refuse to heal. That's not cruelty. That's survival. So that's my story. A 25-year-old lie, a sealed envelope, and a grandmother who loved me enough to plan an entire quarter century ahead. You are not what they called you. You are whoever you decide to be. For 25 years, I believed I was adopted in spirit. A burden, an afterthought, a mistake that my family graciously tolerated. I let that belief shape everything. It was all built on a lie my father told to justify his own limitations. A lie my mother enabled by staying silent. A lie my brother benefited from without questioning. But lies don't last forever. The truth always surfaces. That's what Grandma used to write in her birthday cards. And she was right. Thanks for listening. If you liked this story, share it with others who might need to hear it, and don't forget to comment and subscribe for more stories about standing up for yourself and reclaiming your worth. Your worth was never up for debate. It was always there, waiting for you to believe it.